Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I am Shonda Taylor, and this is our Planning Commission work session agenda for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026, starting at 12:35 in the City Council Conference Room, 6th floor of City Hall.
Dr. Russell.
All right, and I'm gonna, for the rest, I'm gonna defer to Dr. Russell.
Good afternoon, and thank you. We have one agenda item this afternoon, and it is a use permit application. Mr. Bill Lanefair is going to provide the staff report for that item, and then we're going to follow that with a brief review of our agenda items for our Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for March 25th. And then we're going to provide a project update for our comprehensive planning projects for the department. Mr. Landfair, Principal Planner.
Thank you, Dr. Russell. Good afternoon, Planning Commissioners.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Bill Landfair, Principal Planner with the City of Portsmouth Planning Department. The application before you today is a request for a use permit for the development of 3 townhouse units on approximately 0.21 acres located at 531 Edward Street in the multifamily urban residential zoning district. The subject property is located adjacent to the Southside Gardens and Portside Manor multifamily neighborhoods and is also near the Port Center Commercial Park. Property is vacant, measuring approximately 75 feet in length and 121 feet in depth for a total of 9,075 square feet or 0.21 acres. It's located within the AE8 Special Flood Hazard Area and the Resource Management Area of the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Area. The surrounding neighborhood is characterized by a mix of residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional land uses, all within 2 blocks of the subject property. To the north and west, there are multifamily developments containing townhouses, condominiums, and apartments zoned multifamily urban residential. To the east and south are detached single-family residences, also zoned multifamily urban residential. Additionally, 2-family and 3 to 4-family dwellings can be found within about 1 block of the subject property. The applicant is proposing to subdivide the property into 3 townhouse lots. 2 will be end units, 3,449 square feet in size, and 1 will be an interior lot, 2,178 square feet in size. Each townhouse will measure 18 feet in width and 30 feet in depth, providing 1,556 square feet of living area. Each dwelling will have a driveway accommodating 2 off-street vehicle parking spaces, which satisfies the requirement for the use. Each unit will also include a covered front porch and a second-story rear balcony. The submitted elevations and conceptual plans are incorporated into the conditions of approval for the use permit to ensure substantial conformity with the recommended design standards. Staff is recommending approval of the applicant's request with the recommended conditions. The proposed residential use will be consistent with the overall intent and policies of the city's Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan and the citywide strategic housing plan, particularly relating to improved housing quality and the provision of mixed income housing. The development will be appropriate at this location. It provides compatible infill that improves the appearance of the property and has an architectural design that will complement the surrounding area. The Planning Department has not received any public comments. This concludes my presentation, and I'll now stand by for any questions.
Commissioners, are there any questions? No?
Nope.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
All right. The next agenda items will be presented by Mr. Trevon Boone, our zoning administrator, and he's going to review the Board of Zoning Appeals agenda items that will be considered on March 25th.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I stated I am Trevon Boone, Zoning Administrator for the City of Portsmouth. There are 5 cases to be heard before the Board of Zoning Appeals on March the 25th at our BZA meeting. Those items include 1404 Center Avenue. They are requesting a special exception to authorize the reduction of the minimum required side yard setback from 7 feet to 3 feet, and that's in order to construct a detached single-family dwelling on a narrow lot. The next item that we have is 316 High Street and also 330 County Street. Both are requesting a special exception to authorize a residential ground floor conversion in accordance with Section 40.2-535, subsection B, subsection 2. The next item that we have is 822 Garfield Street. They are requesting a variance in accordance with zoning ordinance section 40.2-534, subsection B, subsection 6, to allow for a deviation from the provisions of the City Code, Chapter 14.1, and the flood protection area. And the last item that we have is 1204 Airline Boulevard, and they're also requesting a variance to reduce the side yard setbacks requirements from 20 feet to 14 feet. And they are all the items that we have for our March the 25th meeting for the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Commissioners, the Code of Virginia requires that we share with the Planning Commission those agenda items for our Board of Zoning Appeals meeting in the event that you have comments that you would like for us to share with board members or appear before the board during their deliberations. Okay. Madam Chair, that concludes the formal agenda items for the meeting. I do have an update on our planning projects, if I may share that with Commissioners. Okay. Ms. Jackson. Mrs. Jackson. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I was hoping you saved one for me. So you've given so many away. Thank you. Members of the commission, what you traditionally see from our agenda items month to month. You'll see rezoning applications, you'll see use permit applications. Occasionally, over the 24 months that I have been on board, you've seen a couple of zoning ordinance text amendments. But I thought, as we were deliberating amongst our team members about project assignments and priorities of projects, that it would be beneficial to share with the commissioners the comprehensive planning projects or the long-term planning projects that we're working on, and then to give you some status information about those projects. I also think that it's prudent to share this information with you because we often get requests. I received a request this morning from a citizen that made an appointment to speak to me about things that they think we ought to be involved in and put on our list of priorities. And so the first item is the Historic District Design Guidelines Review. Mr. Bill Landfair coordinates and supports both our Historic Preservation Commission and our DDC, our Downtown Design Commission. And what we have found is that the design guidelines for both districts really don't take advantage of some of the new opportunities for materials that are more costly and more effective in terms of energy efficiency and other efficiencies. And because they're not in the guidelines, they are not ready opportunities for property owners to use. So take, for example, slate roofing. There are composite materials that emulate that so that from the untrained eye, they're indistinguishable, especially if you're looking at it from the ground level. And our design guidelines don't currently permit that. Additionally, additionally, for window treatments, composite window treatments that resemble wood material, that would be appropriate, our design guidelines in many instances don't permit. And so for at least a year, I have been party to discussions about when are we going to update the historic preservation district design guidelines, and we are undertaking that effort as we speak, and so we want you to be aware of that. In addition to the materials, we want to review the administrative allowances that would permit staff to review and approve work within our historic districts and issue a certificate of occupancy without having to go through board review. And the reason why that's important is in most instances, time is money. And if we can get a project to construction 4 weeks faster or 8 weeks faster, we are improving the outcome from the developer or the property owner just by the nature of saving time and saving money. We've talked a lot about the Link District, and you most recently considered amendments to the Portsmouth zoning ordinance regarding adoption of provisions of the ordinance to implement the recommendations of the innovation plan. You will recall that we proposed that we do that in 2 phases, that we put forth those prescriptive recommendations that are in the plan, and we follow that effort with a stakeholder engagement process so that we readdress some of the design guidelines that are outlined in the innovation plan to model some of the observations that we've made in other areas, Main Street, downtown areas that have reinvented themselves. That effort where we are is developing or identifying stakeholders who would be involved in that process. We have intentionally sought to observe the stakeholder engagement process around the Crawford Bay stakeholder public engagement efforts that have just concluded. And I'll share with you that I actually registered as a participant in the Portsmouth. It was on the Portsmouth website, and I just marveled at how that the updates for real time for both of the community engagement efforts were sent to me by text message, by email, and by phone. So it would have been impossible to forget that both of those activities were occurring, and then what we were being asked to do as stakeholders in the process in our participation. And so we're going to, as closely as possible, mimic that process in the development of the Link District Design Guidelines. So our short-term rental ordinance, I don't know if we presented this to the Planning Commission or not, but in September we did present to the City Council in a work session information about our short-term rental ordinance and the provisions of the Code of Virginia. And so just in a quick summary, the code permits by right a property owner to use their property for short-term rentals as long as they are residing in the property at least 50% of the time. Okay, so that could mean, if you take 6 months out of the year, say they're living in the property 6 months, and then they're using it as a short-term rental 6 months, or they're residing in the property at the same time or portion of the time that it is also being leased as a short-term rental. We had committed we have committed to have this process complete by summer 2026. The challenge with this one is that the stakeholders aren't readily identifiable, because, in general, they're property owners. We think that the real estate brokerage industry would also be stakeholders involved in this process. Property managers, there are all kinds of levels of expertise that we want to bring to the table in vetting and developing an ordinance for short-term rentals. I noticed over the weekend a community is very different from Portsmouth, but it's the town of Smithville. There's an article that said they have very few short-term rentals, and their ordinance only requires the registration of the property as a short-term rental and a business license. And so we are also responsible for benchmarking and just finding out, what our neighboring localities are doing and what's working, what's not working, and then try to launch our ordinance process in a way that avoids those regulatory practices that did not work for our neighbors. Comprehensive plan update. So we did an audit of the comprehensive plan that we presented to our planning commissioners and council. We have actually out on EVA, which is the state's procurement website, a request for proposals where we're seeking consultant support to help us in the development of our 2040 comprehensive plan. We anticipate that is going to be about a 24 to 30-month effort. We are well aware of the best practices, Commissioner Melvin, that you have asked us to consider in the development of that plan. Along the way, you will, as commissioners, will receive periodic reports on the status of our plan development, as well as information about our stakeholder and public engagement activities so that you can participate if you'd like. And then the last item, we should mark that as complete. We did a overhaul of our Chesapeake Bay Preservation District Ordinance and reaffirmation of the maps designating our RPA, RMA, and intensely developed area features on our map. And so just want commissioners to be aware, in tandem as we're processing these land use applications and our site plans and our subdivisions and supporting our 5 boards and commissions, we are also working on those long-term projects that really will change the physical appearance, the physical plan of the community, and those efforts take time. I'm happy to answer. I'm looking at this. Is usually y'all are spread out, so I have an audience of 3 today. Do you have any questions? I'd be more than happy to answer them.
I think it's just one that is not on this sheet, but it's up there. The code enforcement for entertainment venues.
We took that off. You know why?
Okay.
Because we are, for the most part, done with that.
Okay.
We have to tweak that ordinance that was adopted in August 2026 relative to implementation, because we had some challenges that I don't want to discuss in public because I'd be identifying the specific properties.
Okay.
But with respect to enforcement and mitigation of the 2 properties that were a challenge, those issues were resolved on February 25th.
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely like the historic district design guideline review. Thank you so much. I learned about that the hard way by actually going through it, but everybody was great, especially Bill and Miss Rhonda. But I do like that it was even a thought, Sean, I think his name is, who is the president of the HPC, to like once in a while have a meeting of the minds for everybody involved, like from historical to planning commission to zoning, just so that like we make sure we're all on one page about some of the changes that come down the pipeline. I'm excited for the Link District and short-term rental ordinance. That's gonna be a project a project and a challenge, but I know you guys can get it done, so I'm excited about everything that's on the list for the city.
Wonderful. Are you interested in being a stakeholder in any of those?
I can be.
Okay. Any? All?
Can be. So,
So,
maybe one or two.
okay.
But I got you.
Yeah, thank you for the update. Definitely interested in being a stakeholder for the Link District Ordinance and the comprehensive plan. Thank you for considering my feedback for the comprehensive plan. I know doing a great job here with including SMART goals, which are very important, but also including like a capability matrix for each department will help out, because you'll find yourself in the same predicament as last year with departments not doing certain objectives because they just might not have the capability, such as funding or the amount of people. So the capability matrix gives Mr. Carter the opportunity to see where each department is at and be able to fund or plan out so that they can reach that objective. So just something to note there so that we can show action with the comprehensive plan.
Good. Can you help me with how is the capability metrics different than a task, an assignment?
Yeah, so you can you can give any task, right? But if the department per se can't meet that task, then it's just out there. It's not going to be done. So with the capability matrix, it shows you there's like a taxonomy out there that shows you like from levels 1 to 5 where you can meet that. And like typically when companies do this, they want to be at level 3 or 4. That means that their processes are in place. They have the right amount of people that can do the job. They have the funding so that they can meet that task. Now, if you're under level 3, if you're at 1 or 2, that means you don't have the processes in place. You don't have the funding. You don't have the people. So you can't meet that objective. And there's nothing to do with the department itself. It's just that there's a shortage somewhere, and with the capability matrix, it gives you, the city manager, the ability to see like, okay, I see where my shortfalls are at. Now I can strategically allocate resources to that department so that they can meet that objective if that's your priority. So that's how capability matrix will help out with the task. Because if you just have a task and SMART goals, it's nice to have on paper, but you need the people, you need the funding, you need the processes in order to actually execute. And that's where I realized that a lot of companies go wrong, is that they just don't have the means to execute. I know we're in a resource constrained environment, and this allows you to see on paper where we're at and then prioritize based off of that, right? So we always say like the hard thing is not what you're going to do, it's what you're not going to do, and capability matrix helps you plan that. So
Thank you. All right, Madam Chair. That completes
This
I don't know if
concludes-
your other audience
Any-
members have questions or comments.
All right. This concludes our
Work session.
work session. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you all to this very important meeting today, Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026, in the City of Portsmouth City Council Chambers.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Commissioners, we will now have roll call. Please indicate your presence electronically. Four members of the Planning Commission are present.
Commissioners, before you are the minutes of February 3rd, 2026 public hearing. If there are any changes, we are in need of a motion.
I so move to approve.
second.
We have a second and a motion. Madam Secretary?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the February 3rd, 2026 Planning Commission meeting, and you will be voting electronically. The minutes are approved by a vote of 4-0. Announcements of future meetings and conferences. Our next scheduled work session is Tuesday, April the 7th, 2026 at 12:30 p.m. City Council Conference Room, followed by public hearing at 1:30 p.m. City Council Chamber. Planning Commission rules limit a speaker up to 5 minutes to speak. We also ask that everyone please silence your cell phones at this time if you have not already done so. Items reviewed today will be presented to City Council for action at their April the 14th, 2026 public hearing or as otherwise noted. Our first item, UP-25-16 West Craddock. Community Housing Partners request a use permit to construct multifamily dwelling on approximately 2.3 combined acres located at 2216 and 2220 Walden Avenue in the multifamily urban residential URM zoning district. The properties are owned by Portsmouth Afton Square LP and are further identified as tax map 465, parcels 38 and 39. The future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property for low to medium density, single-family residential. The staff coordinator is Bill Landfair. Will the applicant or representative for this application please come forward and present your application at this time?
Yep. Ms. Jackson, I think that was, I don't think that was a correct public hearing item.
Huh? My apologies. The case is UP-26-01 Oakton. T. Baker and T. Williams request a use permit for the development of 3 townhouse units on approximately 0.21 acres located at 531 Edward Street in the multifamily urban residential URM zoning district. The property is further identified as tax map 39, parcel 51. The future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property for mixed-use employment. Will the applicant or the representative for this application please come forward and present your application at this time?
Chairman Taylor, may I speak?
Sure.
It appears that the applicant is not present, which gives us one of 2, maybe 3 choices. We could wait a few minutes to see if the applicant is delayed by traffic or some other means and reach out to them by phone. We could defer consideration of the item until your next planning commission meeting, or in the absence of the applicant, the commission could always deny the request.
I think we should defer.
Or, as Mr. Miller has suggested, or approve.
Do we want to give them the opportunity to get here? Have we tried to?
We can give them a few minutes.
Okay.
Take a recess for 5 minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that
Okay,
would be
we'll recess
reasonable.
for 5 minutes.
There they go. All right, we will resume.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item 26-01. The applicant is not here. Commissioners, Madam Chairperson, we need a motion and a second to defer, if that's your pleasure.
I so move to defer to our next meeting.
We need a second.
Second.
We're going to defer it.
Defer to next meeting. No, it's important that we defer to next meeting. With the council, Dr. Russell said it's probably most important that we defer to next meeting. We were comparing to any other incident that has happened before. So I think we should wait till they're here before we go. I think it would be more easy for us.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second to defer UP-26-01, and you will be voting electronically. This item is approved by a vote of 3-1. New business.
Madam Secretary, I believe that concludes our agenda for today. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Madam Chair, may I make a comment under Director's comments, please?
Yes.
Okay. The, believe Ms. Jackson, or it might already be in front of you, a QR code for the Planning Commissioner satisfaction survey that we discussed last month. We would appreciate if commissioners would, at this time or at some point within the next couple of hours, complete the survey, just to provide feedback on the staff report and your how we help prepare you for your deliberations regarding land use cases. And we'll provide that summary of your feedback and use this data set as the benchmark for how we have improved over time. Thank you.
Commissioners, will there be any further business? No. All right, Dr. Russell, is there any further business? All right. You're welcome. Hearing none, this meeting is now adjourned.